Hi, everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday episode of Zero to One, particularly special episode as it's our 50th episode, woohoo, which is awesome. We're really excited to have hit that milestone in probably a shorter time than we first expected. I think for those who've probably joined a few of the calls now, you'll have seen that we now do two sessions every week, and we try to cover a bunch of different topics. If you're new to one of our sessions, welcome. We're really glad to have you here. Hopefully, you'll continue to tune in as and when you find the sessions relevant. But if you're brand new in that sense, Zero to One is a weekly community event that we do for Doer Circle members and those who are interested in Doer Circle. And we really want to share practical advice with you. Our members tend to be those who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, freelancers, maybe those who are working in a corporate environment and they want to move into something more independent, and they're curious about that side of things. So yeah, we very much welcome you, and hopefully you'll get a lot of value out of the sessions that we do. Um, Also, for everyone unaware as well, once the sessions are finished, we try to make sure it goes up on our YouTube channel, which will be available probably as of tomorrow morning, Singapore time. If not, we might be able to get it out this evening, depending. So you can always watch back if you miss anything. So no problem at all. So without further ado, let's get into today's session. We're really excited this one. You'll see the title is called Go Beyond Referrals. And I think it's really important, obviously, if depending on whoever you are, right? If you're a business of one person or if you're a business of many people, you know, there's always going to be a need in that business to be able to generate more client opportunities. And client opportunities can come, you know, if you're a solopreneur, maybe working with a few handful of clients, or maybe you're a B2B or B2C type business and you're looking for new customers to buy your services or your products and things like that. So we're really excited to have Tasha join us today, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a moment. And we're going to get into practical ways that you can generate more opportunities beyond just referrals, because referrals are great and warm introductions are great, but it's often the case that you won't have you know, hundreds of those lined up in that sense. And so the more that you can proactively generate opportunities for yourself alongside perhaps what you get in a referral side, that's going to be better for you and more sustainable. So yeah, over to you, Tasha, if you just want to introduce yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Hi, everybody. I'm so glad y'all have discovered the chat, or not discovered, but been using the chat because we're going to use it a lot. So do me a favor and go over the chat. Make sure it's set to send to everyone, not just hosts and panelists, because I think it defaults to hosts and panelists, and ideally
Mm.
set it to everyone so we can chat. I will introduce myself a little bit as we go, but first I want to get to know you guys. So give me 1 second. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I have a couple questions so I can make sure to tailor this as much for y'all as possible. So first, let me know if you've already started your business. Give me a number 1 in the chat if you're fully supporting yourself as a freelancer, consultant, entrepreneur. A number 2 if you started your business but not yet fully supporting yourself. And a number 3 if you're just starting out and maybe you haven't had any clients yet. Okay, lots of 1s. Awesome. We got some 3s. Very cool. A 2. Okay, so a little bit of everything, but mostly 1s. So I think this today, it's going to be most relevant for my 1s, those of you who are fully supporting yourselves. But for those of you who are 2s and 3s, this is also going to be super, super helpful for you as well. Actually, definitely for 2s. And for 3s, it's going to help because it's going to set you up really well for what you want to be doing down the line. Okay. And then for those of you who are already getting clients, let me know where you're getting your cold leads. So notice I said cold leads and not warm leads, right? If we're getting someone through a referral or an introduction, that is going to be a warm lead. But I want to know where you're getting your cold leads from. And you can give me as many answers as you want. So give me an A if you don't currently have a consistent way of getting cold leads. A B if you're mostly using social media. C for outreach. D for earned media or maybe influencer marketing. E for partnerships, F for virtual or in-person events, conferences, masterclasses, G for advertising and paid media, and H for other, or you can also just type in the chat as well. Okay, nice. I see C, E, F, and G. Nice. B, F. Okay, B, social media. F is virtual in-person events, conferences, masterclasses. Okay, nice. For those of you who didn't answer, is that because we're an A?
That's okay. Yeah, sorry, I was just adding R1 in there as well for a bit of context. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, great. A lot of variety. Good, good, good. Okay. And now, how is your lead gen system working so far? So again, a number one, if you're like, oh, I don't really have one that's working that well, maybe a number two, if you have a loose plan, you're getting some cold leads, you're getting some, you know, leads converting into clients, but maybe it's not working consistently. A three, oh, sorry. Wait, two is I have a loose plan, but I'm not consistent. Three is I have a system, but it doesn't seem to be working consistently. And four, you're like, I got this. I have a clear, repeatable system that brings in aligned leads consistently. If that's you, you're probably not on a webinar today, right? Because you're all set. Okay, I'm seeing one, two, one. One funnels are a pain. Okay, interesting thought process. I'd love to hear more about that in the Q&A about why funnels are a pain. I think a lot of times we think funnels are like this big, scary, intense thing. But really, it's just thinking about the customer journey and who your ideal client is, where they are when they think about you, and creating a natural, genuine process for them to move deeper down the process of wanting to work with you. We're going to talk more about that later. But thank you guys so much for being open and vulnerable because I know it's not easy. Okay, we're almost done with these, I promise, just a couple more. How do you nurture your leads right now? So give me an A if it's email marketing, a B for long form content like podcast or YouTube, C for masterclasses or workshops, and D, maybe I regularly follow up with them personally. I've seen that a lot with freelancers. E for other, or you can just type it in the chat, and F for I don't know really. Okay, yeah, a lot of D's. I see that a lot for sure. A, okay, nice. All right. Okay, yeah. So obviously, not everyone is ready to work with us immediately, right? So we want a way to nurture those leads so that when they are ready, we're top of mind. Okay, great. So we are here to talk about referrals and getting a consistent pipeline of premium B2B leads. So let me know in the chat how close you are into that currently. So give me a 0% if you haven't yet launched your business or you don't have that at all. Give me 100% if you have that steady stream of high quality leads and dream clients coming in. Again, those people are probably not on the webinar, right? So most of us are going to be somewhere in the middle. And if you guys haven't noticed, I am not a morning person, so I'm still waking up and I'm going to drink some coffee.
So if I see 100% in here, then we're talking afterwards for sure. I want to know.
Nice, 40%, 30%. Okay, yeah, totally. Okay, great. Okay, and then most of you hopefully have this number. Around what percentage of your leads typically become clients? So if this is not a number that you have or that you know, this is something you want to work on getting the data to have this number, right? Somebody was mentioning funnels. Who was that? Oh, it's too far up the chat. But somebody was talking about funnels, right? Ideally, you have a sense of where in the process your leads are dropping off and what percentage of them are converting at every stage. And that will help you refine your marketing process. 50%, nice. 5 to 10%, okay. I'd like to see that a little bit higher. 70%, nice. That's really good. And also keep in mind, if your leads are warm, it's going to be quite high, right? If you're working mostly with cold leads, it's going to be much lower, right? But if you have really good messaging, it's going to be higher. And if you improve that funnel, if you improve that sales process, right? Okay, so a consistent pipeline of premium leads is so important because it's literally the difference between those famous freelancing feast or famine months and having that inconsistent income, right? Having to say yes to red flag clients, last minute emergencies, violating your boundaries, clients who don't align with your values. Let me know in the chat if any of this is resonating. And trust me, I've dealt with all of this. Spending your time hustling for clients who don't fully trust your process, right? But if we have a consistent pipeline of premium leads, we know we can say no to any project or client that doesn't align with our ideal criteria because we know our livelihood isn't at risk, right? We know we're going to have dream clients reaching out to us instead of the other way around, and we can actually rest, travel, and live without worrying our income will dip, which is so important as a service-based entrepreneur, right? Because you're getting paid for your time, right? And so unless you have that built into your business model, you can't really take paid time off. So it's really important for having a business that's profitable, sustainable, and deeply soul aligned. So this is my experience. I started my business in 2019. So I just had my 6-year business anniversary. And when I first started out, I was definitely saying yes to clients that didn't fully align. I was caught in that feast or famine cycle, and I was too focused on delivering for my clients to think about or even invest in my own business growth. I felt like I was very talented, but I was still getting ghosted by prospects. I was feeling underpaid and feeling undervalued. Let me know in the chat if anybody is in that stage right now. No shame at all, because I'm telling you, I was there. Now, 6 years in, I work with CEOs of 60 million and $100 million companies. I get 10 to 25K painfuls from cold leads and 100K scopes of work. I make 20 and 27K months. I love all my clients. I feel like they're all amazing. And I actually have time, money, and energy to reinvest in myself. So if we're not here yet, this is ideally where we want to get you, or whatever version of this works for you and for your business. So let me know in the chat what made you want to start your own business and be a freelancer, because we all know this path is not easy. So, and don't say all of these things. Try to pick just one, which I know is really hard. So is it A, loving my work, feeling like I'm making a difference and my work matters? Is it B, clients who make me feel valued, respected, and appreciated? C, enough money to support myself and my family? Or D, freedom, flexibility, and the lifestyle I want? And trust me, it's all of them for me. So it's also really hard to choose just one. So I really appreciate you guys who are zeroing in on it. I'm seeing mostly A's and D's. Don't want to have to compromise on my values. 100%. And I think that's true for so many of us who've started our own business. That's a really big part of it. We want to be able to pick and choose our clients, pick and choose our projects, make sure that they're really aligned with our values, with our worldview, with the world that we want to create. Not one of the choices. Is there, oh, you're also, make sure your chat is set to send to everyone. I see a lot of you guys are just sending to hosts and panelists, by the way. So don't forget to change that little blue bar and set that to everyone. Okay, so a little bit more about me. In September 2019, I quit my top 3 global advertising agency job. I got a one-way ticket to Bali, such a cliche, right? In February 2020, I had made the first $770 for myself for my business. By March of 2020, yes, right when COVID was hitting, I had my first 4-figure month. By April 2020, I had my first 5-figure month. And then by November 2020, I had made it to 6 figures just within my first year of business. But it was not all that smooth and easy along the way, right? Like that picture I was showing you behind the scenes, I was struggling. This is my, if you see that picture on the bottom, that little sad desk, that was like my basement apartment in Washington, D.C. I'm from the US. And I was just like skipping the gym. I wasn't eating. I was just spending all of my time doing client work. This is me when I first started out in Bali. And it was like I was so happy to just have clients that were paying me actual money to do the thing, because I didn't know if it was going to work, you know? But I was spending all of my time on client work, and I didn't even have the time to really think about, is this the business that I wanted in the first place? You know, I didn't have the mental space or the time to really think about that, or to take the steps to proactively put it in place. And then this is me last year, this little graphic on the left, that's like my 2024 Instagram recap that I did, right? And here's some pictures from last year. You know, I took myself to Paris to celebrate my 5-year anniversary. I went to the Amalfi Coast. I threw myself a 35th birthday party in Greece. I'm a digital nomad, so I've actually been traveling the world for the last 6 years as I've been building my business. And here are just some pictures from this year: Cape Town, Namibia, Amsterdam, Bulgaria, Barcelona, Italy. Just took a 2-week vacation in Italy. It's so important to take time off in your business. And then I was just with my mom in Austria, and now I'm in Portugal. So I'm telling you guys, all of this is possible because I have a consistent pipeline of high quality leads, right? So let's get into it, and let us start by talking about what not to do, which is just as important as what you should be doing. So let me know in the chat if this resonates with you, because I hear so many freelancers say this. All my clients come from my network, word of mouth, and referrals. I know that's why a lot of you guys are here, right? Because we want to go beyond that. So let me know if that, yeah, yes, okay, yeah, 100%. Okay, let me know if this one resonates with you. I just want to do the work. I hate marketing and selling myself. And I'm curious to hear if this one resonates with you. I hear this a lot in the US, especially from women. I don't want to be seen as spammy, sleazy, or salesy. Let me know if that one resonates. Yes, the second one. Okay. I'm glad this resonates across multiple markets. I'm not glad that it resonates, but it's good it's still applicable to y'all. Yes, okay. All right, how about this one? I'm good at so many things. I can help anyone. I don't want to get super specific and then scare off a potential lead because that's not them. I hear this a lot when I'm working with clients on getting more specific with their messaging. Let me know if that one resonates for y'all. No, maybe not. Okay. And I'm really good at what I do, but I'm not great at talking about it in a way that brings in clients. I've had a lot of folks when they first come to me and first start working with me who are like, when I talk about what I do, I get nervous. I don't want to be salesy. I'm not quite sure how to talk about it, like at parties or when I'm out and people are asking me what I do. I kind of get nervous and I don't have the right way to say it. Yeah, yes, okay. I don't know. All right, this one is really important. I'm going to explain this more, but having convincing energy is a big problem that I see. And what I mean by this is instead of showing up as like, hey, for example, I'm a business coach, right? Instead of showing up as like, hey, like I'm a great business coach, I'm the best business coach for you, here's my approach. A lot of people will show up as, hey, you need business coaching, right? Which is like your ideal client, they're already out there looking for the exact services that you offer and they're ready to buy right now, right? So if you're coming at it from a place of trying to convince them that they need your services, you're already speaking to a non-premium client. All of my work is about in my business coaching is all about working with premium clients, right? So I am all about like what is the highest paying, highest quality, most values aligned client that you can work with for your business that you would want to work with. Who is a client you want to serve the most that's going to pay you really well and really respect you and your services and appreciate you. And it starts with this. It starts in our messaging and making sure that we're speaking to that right client. So we're going to talk about this more. Okay. So the big thing that I remember I was telling you about when I first started my business and I was spending all my time on client work and I didn't really have time to think about what I was doing. So what I needed to do and what I want for y'all is have the time and the space and the mental energy to stop being reactive to the circumstances and start being proactive and getting to decide as the decision maker and the CEO of your business, what kinds of clients do I really want to work with? What kinds of services do I really want to offer? What kind of rates do I really want to have? Because a lot of times I'll see folks, especially, more early stage freelancers and consultants who will come in and they'll be like, "Oh, this client is like not respecting my boundaries, they're emailing me like at 10 p.m. and like it's just not cool and like, oh, they're not paying me enough." Well, I have really bad news for you because you let that happen because you are the boss. And that client is only going to treat you in the way that you allow. So it starts with you and it starts with deciding the kind of business that you want and deciding what you're available for and then making that clear all the way from the beginning in your messaging and your brand positioning and your sales process and your onboarding process. Let me know in the chat if any of this is hitting for you guys, how you feel about this tough love. And let me know how we're doing so far. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee.
I was going to say you're doing well for someone who said it's not a morning person, right?
Thanks. I appreciate that. All right. So before I dive in, I wanted to just share my Instagram and my LinkedIn to connect with you guys. And please feel free to take a little picture of the training, share it, tag me. On Instagram, I'm at Duraca_Strategic. And on LinkedIn, I'm Tasha Prados. So great to connect with you guys. I always love hearing what people think of these trainings and what's helpful, what's not helpful, and how it applies to your business, especially in different markets. I work primarily with North American and European clients. I have worked with a lot of clients in Asia. I was a judge at the ASEAN Impact Conference, but it's always different a little bit from market to market, right? So it's really cool to get to connect with people from all over the world. And that's another reason I love being a digital nomad. So Let's
And
talk
sorry,
about
Tasha, just to interject as well. If anybody
yeah,
wants to share their own LinkedIn's in the chat as well, it's always great for everyone to connect with everyone as well, if relevant. You know, you never know,
yeah,
opportunities can come from that. So just feel free to drop it in the chat. Sorry,
yeah.
over to you.
Great, thanks. Okay, so now let's talk about the 4 keys to building a consistent pipeline of premium B2B leads, right? We talked about what not to do. Now let's talk about what we want to do. So, number one, again, and I told you guys I work primarily with focusing on premium positioning, right? So, you need premium positioning that helps you stand out in a saturated market and attract your ideal client, right? There's more freelancers right now than ever before, right? The gig economy is growing. I'm curious what trends you guys are seeing in your markets. In the United States, it's a bit of a cluster. I'd say rates have gone way, way down. Uh, Supply has increased a ton of freelancers. My clients, they are still even in the hardest hit industries. I have a client, a one-on-one coaching client right now who is making an additional 15K a month in an industry that has been completely devastated, where most people are having to leave and get different jobs. Why? This is because she's not targeting just anyone. She's targeting premium clients and the highest end of the market and setting herself apart as a thought leader. So, premium positioning, standing out in a saturated market, and speaking directly to your ideal client is so important. And this all comes from your messaging. So, and your positioning. You need to get really, really specific on who you want to serve and know what makes someone an ideal client for you. You need to get really clear on your most marketable and most valuable skills and also what sets you apart. And you need to get really brave about doing the kind of work that you're passionate about and sharing your actual point of view. This is something that I see a lot with the freelancers and consultants that I work with. Sometimes we have these really strong opinions and we think maybe no one wants to hear them. We think they don't matter. We think, if I share this, what will people think of me? The more you show your leadership, the more you will attract the kinds of clients that you want. So just a couple of examples from clients that I've worked with. I hate working with parents who want to force their kids to go to an Ivy just because that's what they're supposed to do. So this is someone who is a college counselor in the US, counseling students about going to Ivy League schools like Harvard. And we changed that to, I want to work with parents who want to burn it all down, right? Which is a bold position for a college counselor to take. And that is the kind of client she's working with now. And not only is she so much happier, she is attracting those clients because they feel the passion, they agree with her values, they agree with her worldview. Okay, another one. I don't want to do leadership coaching or work with companies that don't want to shift to remote work. So this is an organizational development consultant. Now, after working with me, she says, I work with forward-thinking leaders who genuinely put people's well-being at the heart of their operations. So she was afraid to speak to that kind of CEO, right? Because she's like, all they care about is making money, and are they really going to care about their employees? The answer is yes. There is literally a market out there for everything. So speak to the kind of client you really want to work with. Another example, whether you're in the ideation stage or have a detailed plan, we are here to help you secure grant funding and appropriation so that your nonprofit can deliver the changes that people deserve, right? Very generic. Now we have, imagine yourself a month from now. Instead of spending your nights, weekends, and vacations writing grants, you're spending your precious time with loved ones. How? You've got a team of grant experts who helped 100 plus nonprofits raise $155 million in grant funds in your corner. That's us. We're ready to support you and take grants off your plate so you can focus on what's most important, your mission. That's so much more clear, right? We can see the results, we can see the credibility, and we know exactly who it's for. So, number 2, and let me know in the chat if these are resonating. You need a really compelling outcome-driven offer. And I see this with freelancers a lot. You are focused on, I do copywriting, or I'm a web developer, I'm a coder, and my services include XYZ. It will be 30 hours on a retainer. I will give you 2 rounds of review. None of this is really getting in the head of your ideal client and making them feel like, oh my gosh, they see me, they understand me. That's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I need, right? So it starts with how you position your services and how you package them. And I want you to move towards pricing your services based on value, not time, as much as you can. I'm actually not against an hourly rate as long as your hourly rate is high enough. Sometimes it's the easiest way to get started with a client. But you really want to focus on solving premium problems for premium buyers. And it's all about how you position your offer and your services and making sure that you're communicating the return on the investment clearly and confidently. and sharing testimonials and case studies. So less, it includes this, more outcome, results, transformation, what your life is going to look like with this, even if it's something like grant writing services, right? She talked about, how she doesn't want you to have to spend your holiday, in America, we would say Thanksgiving or Christmas, right? Writing a grant because we've taken it off your plate, right? And that's something an executive director is going to love to hear and see and think about. So less, and again, I work with premium clients, right? So if you want more premium clients, talk less about accessibility, affordability. It's only X dollars. It's just this amount of dollars, and more, it's going to save you time. It's going to be really efficient. It's going to be really effective. It's the best approach for you. Let me know in the chat if this is hitting y'all. So here's a client that I worked with on his business model, right? And he had a $7 a month monthly membership. And you can imagine the kinds of clients that he had were super draining and demanding. And not only that, he was spending tons of money on Facebook ads just to bring in more clients who were draining his energy, and he hated it. And he was making $50K a year. And after working with me, he's now making $50K a quarter. We obviously changed it's the same services that he's selling, but we changed the client, we changed the offer, and we changed the price point. And he's so much happier. Okay, number 3, developing messaging that calls in higher quality, more aligned clients. So focus more, again, on the desire and the next level vision than on the pain points, right? You'll see a lot of stuff online. You maybe heard focus on pain points, focus on pain points. It is important to show your ideal client you understand their problem, you understand where they're at, but if you only talk about pain points, you're going to attract someone who's in pain, right? I'm a business coach. If I talk about like, oh my God, is your business failing? Like, let's turn it around. I'm going to attract people whose business is failing, who are desperate for support. Instead, I want to attract people who are already doing well, who already have great clients. They know they're great at what they do, and now they're ready to take it to the next level. They're ready to work with a more premium client. They're ready to work at a more premium price point. They're ready to refine their positioning and their messaging and their sales process and their business model to make it really a dream business instead of just surviving, right? We want to go from surviving to thriving. You want to speak to people who are already looking for you and ready now, right? I mentioned that at the beginning. So this is about behavior change psychology and where people are at in the process. I also want you to have a nurture system so the people who are not exactly ready to buy from you today, you will stay top of mind for them when they're ready to buy, 6 months, a year from now. I just had someone sign up for my Premium Clients Unlock program who has been on my email, who first saw me speak at DC Startup Week in 2022 and has been on my email list since 2022, and she just paid me $10,000 for business coaching out of the blue. She just responded to one of my emails. She's been on my list for 3 years now, and she just responded to one of my emails. She's like, hey, I'm ready to work with you. Like, great, okay? Not everyone is going to be ready right now, but you want your messaging to speak to the people who are ready right now, right? We don't want any of that convincing energy. And you want to connect on those shared values and worldview, right? That's how you get really valued, aligned clients, is sharing about your values. And it can be really scary in today's world. Maybe I'm curious how it is in Asia, like in the US market, obviously our values, everything is very polarized and intense right now. But it is really important if you want aligned clients, you have to share about what your values are. And super, super important, I work a lot with my clients on their sales process. You really want to be pre-qualifying potential clients so you know they're a fit for you. I talk about this a lot. I work with my clients a lot on this in my Premium Clients Unlock program. Sales is a two-way street, okay? It's not just, do they like me? Do they want to hire me? You also need to think about, what are my ideal criteria for a client? What do I need from a client to want to work with them? What are my red flags? What are my green flags? And making sure you're including those things in your messaging, in your sales process, and in your onboarding process, and you're teaching your leads and your clients how to treat you. Whew. So, for example, a therapist that I work with, right? You're not convincing someone they need therapy. Her audience, what we created for her is, I help new moms stop feeling guilty about finding an independent identity outside of their kids so they can be better moms, right? You see how specific that is, right? I'm not out here saying, hey, you should try therapy. Therapy would be great for you. I'm saying, hey, Are you a new mom and you just had a kid and it's so hard and you're feeling really guilty about spending any time on yourself or even having an identity outside of being a mom, but you really want to be a good mom? Let's work on that together, right? That's very time bound, that's very urgent, that's very sensitive, that's very specific, and that's a highly motivated audience. And she booked out within 1 week of launching. She had a 50% conversion rate, which is literally insane, right? I was asking you guys what percentage of your leads convert into clients. Of every 2 people she talked to, one person signed up to work with her, which is crazy. So less DM me if trying to write your website copy is making you tear your hair out, right? That's pain points. And more, if you're an established SaaS brand ready to make a global footprint and want messaging that reflects your full impact, let's talk, right? That's much more clear, much more specific, much more desire oriented. I'm speaking to a brand that wants to make a global footprint, not a brand who is tearing their hair out, right? So less sick of feast or famine months, book a discovery call now, right? I'm attracting someone who has feast or famine months. So more ready to work exclusively with high quality, values aligned dream clients who pay premium rates, respect your process, and make you feel like the badass you are. Join Premium Clients Unlocked, right? That's my VIP coaching program. So I work with working moms in their 30s and 40s who want to focus on wellness, right? This is a fitness and nutrition coach that I worked with. More, your health and fitness deserve to be as much of a priority as dad's, so you both have the energy to get down on the floor and play with your kids after a long day at the office, right? This is much more reality, right? You can feel this. You can picture getting home from the office and wanting the energy to get down on the floor and play with your kids, right? You know if that's not happening. So I'm still feeling that pain. I'm still feeling like they recognize me, but we're speaking towards the desire. We're speaking towards being a priority. We're speaking towards focusing on our wellness, right? It's less about the demographics and it's more about the psychographics. Okay, last one, number 4. We're almost there. Let me know in the chat how this is landing for you guys, if you're having any aha moments over here. Yeah, somebody said why, how, what. Yes, so important. Somebody has been working on their brand positioning. Create a proactive visibility and lead gen strategy. So for those of you who've been relying on referrals, and for some of you, especially who are afraid to get visible, afraid to put yourself out there, this is so, 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 so important, right? So I want you to identify at least 2 or 3 high return on investment places where your ideal clients are hanging out. Ideally, where they are when they're thinking about hiring someone like you, right? They already have this problem. They know they need to hire a web developer. They know they need to hire a copywriter. They know they need to hire a therapist. Where are they hanging out online and offline when they're thinking about that? What are they doing? Who are they talking to? Who are they following? What groups are they in? And how can you engage with them? And I want you to start showing up in those places consistently, offering insights that position you as the go-to expert and inviting prospects into your world so you can nurture them, right? Because not everyone is going to be ready to buy today, right? Like we said, but you want to invite them to connect with you, to go deeper with you, right? I don't want you to try to be everywhere and do all of the things. A lot of folks make this mistake. They're like, oh my gosh, I need to start a podcast and a YouTube channel, and I need to start an email list, and I need to be on Pinterest and Facebook and Instagram and everywhere and all of the places. And that is a surefire recipe to burn yourself out, right? I want you to focus on, where is my ideal client? What do I enjoy doing? What's feasible and sustainable for me? And where is that match between the service that I'm offering and where those people are? So I just want you to be in a couple of places, right? 2 or 3, and do it well. But you need a marketing and a strategy and a sales process that reliably attracts and converts those ideal leads. We talked about funnels, right? I'm sure everyone is familiar with a basic marketing funnel, right? But the thing is that right now in the world, most of your ideal clients are completely unaware that you and your services exist, right? Your mom knows, your partner knows, but most of your ideal clients do not know. So we need a way to move them from unawareness to being aware you exist, to thinking about working with you, and then to actually working with you, right? So go ahead, take a screenshot of this. There are literally a million places or ways, oh, there's a typo there, to generate leads. A million places. A lot of times folks get really fixated on the tactic. They think, oh, she's doing podcasts and it's really working for her. I need to go do podcasts, right? it's not about the tactic, right? It is this combination of things. Where is a match for your business and your services, where your ideal client is, and what you enjoy and your desired lifestyle. So this is a big thing I work with my coaching clients on, is figuring out what is the right mix. It's not so much about where you are, it's much more about your brand positioning and your messaging and getting that right. If your messaging is good enough, it will convert cold leads, right? Um, so it's less about where you are and it's more about what you're saying, if that makes sense. But you do need to be somewhere where your ideal clients are, and you do need to be showing up consistently and sharing about your services consistently. So just to give you guys a couple of examples of what happens when you lean into this, these are clients that I've had. I had a client who was like, I really don't know what to say on LinkedIn. Like, what is even the point? To being like, after she worked with me, she did my Book Out Your Business Marketing Bootcamp. And she was like, I literally just got a 16K retainer from a cold lead from sharing on LinkedIn. So it really is about showing up consistently and what you're saying and being in the right place. I've had a lot of clients come to me who hate marketing and sales, right? And feel really disingenuous. And they're like, I really don't want anyone to think I'm spamming them. Like, really afraid to show up online. And I get it, it's really scary in today's world. And then actually change their mindset to feel like, oh, this is actually fun. Like, this feels genuine, it feels authentic to me. And I've actually just doubled my income, right? That's what happens when you actually start showing up and sharing the right message. So I hope these tips were helpful. I think it's going to make such a big difference for you guys in building your business, and let me know what was the most helpful. I also made a little cheat sheet for y'all with some of the key points from today's training. So if you want to go ahead and scan this QR code, it will get you the cheat sheet from today's training. I don't know if we're sending out the recording or anything. It sounds like it's going to be on YouTube, but if anybody wants the key points, you can grab them here. And if anybody wants to work with me, if you really want, are you really fired up about consistently attracting high quality, better paying, perfect match dream clients who pay you what you deserve without hassle and that you adore working with, I would love to work with you. I've only got one-on-one coaching spot open right now, but I've got a lot of really great programs. And here is a little, there's only a couple spots for calls because I go back to the US on October 7th. So I'm not doing any calls after that for a while because I'm going to be busy reconnecting with friends and family. But if anybody is really serious about this and really wants to work with me, I'd love to chat with you. And I will drop my LinkedIn and my Instagram in the chat and whatnot. But here are all my links. So let's open it up for questions. I hope some of this was helpful for you guys, and I would love to hear if you posted a question in the chat and I missed it, please share it again so I can answer it for you. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to grab those links for you guys.
Thanks so much, Tasha. I think some fantastic insights shared there as well. Like even me, I took some good things away from that. So I really appreciate that. There was actually a question in the chat just a little while ago from Michael, and I think you started to develop on the answer just now in terms of the last few slides and showing like kind of focusing on certain channels, focusing on your ideal persona of who you're looking for. Their question was sort of saying, how do you find the ideal client to share this all with? They said it's great, obviously, having the messaging, the price points, but getting it in front of the right people, I guess. I mean, I know the answer is somewhat individual or subjective. Like you mentioned, like somebody who does a really good podcast doesn't necessarily mean that that will work for you. But are there any guidances you can share on
Yeah.
that, or maybe what's worked better?
Absolutely. Come work with me, join my Zero to Launch program. The key is to do market research and to really understand your competitors, what landscape you're operating in, the environment you're operating in, the key issues, and then most importantly, your audience. So you need to talk to real people in your real audience who are potential ideal clients. A big mistake I see freelancers and entrepreneurs make is kind of crowdsourcing opinions for your business and not asking the right people. You're like, okay, I'm going to do a survey or I'm going to ask my Instagram audience. Like, the right people to talk to are the people who are your ideal client and any coach or mentor you've hired, right? Not getting random opinions from random people on the internet. And there's a very specific way to do market research and to do audience research so that you can get the right insights and incorporate those things into your messaging. Because a lot of times we over here as the expert, we're like, we know people need XYZ, right? But our ideal client doesn't necessarily know they need that yet. They're still over here thinking they need ABC. So our job is to help them get what they need by talking to them about what they think they need. So it's a little tricky, it's a little sneaky, but the only way to do it is really to talk to your ideal clients and really understand where they're at when they are thinking about hiring you, and really understand what are their deepest desires, what are their motivations, what are their fears, what are the barriers they're coming up against. And of course, some of the common barriers are always going to be time and money, right? And if you're getting those kinds of objections, your messaging and your offer is not clear enough, and you're not speaking to a premium client enough, right? Um, there's always going to be people who aren't ready, and there's always going to be people who are like, I don't have time and I can't afford this right now. And that's not your problem, right? Your job is to show up and offer a solution to a very real problem that people have. And sorry, I'm rambling now, so I'll pause there. Hopefully I answered that a little bit.
No, not rambling at all. I think fantastic and absolutely spot on. And I think just that last bit you mentioned as well, I think resonates as well because like as you've been sort of alluding to, it's not about serving everybody, right? Like there are enough people out there that you can serve your ideal client, and the faster you can almost qualify people out, the better you'll save your energy and your time as well to be able to focus on better opportunities. I think that's a as someone who works in sales, that's probably like a journey you go on in that sense as well, because you kind of want to help as many people, but the reality is that some people are not necessarily ready.
Yeah.
So better to move on from that. I see we have another question from Dario. Hopefully, Michael, hopefully that helped with your answer. If you want to add any more comments, feel free to add in the chat. Dario has just mentioned, so he said, I'm targeting SME owners, sorry. I started looking on LinkedIn for cold outreach, but it seems like business owners are busy enough not to hang out often on LinkedIn. Yeah, I've experienced that with certain channels as well before, or certain demographics. What other channels can I find to reach SME and business owners?
I have a lot to say about this, Dario. I hope I'm saying your name right. So first of all, so much to say. First of all, LinkedIn is still a great place to be. And if you're not having success on LinkedIn, you need to look at your approach, to be honest. Yes, it's true. LinkedIn has changed and evolved a lot. And like with most social media platforms, the algorithm changes, it gets more crowded, it gets more saturated. You need to work harder to stand out. Um, LinkedIn is still a top place for B2B leads. Okay, wait, I have so many points to make. So first, you need to own your nurture. So ideally, you have an owned way of reaching your leads and contacting them, probably email marketing, um, because of this exact thing, right? Social media platforms, the algorithm changes. So you need a direct way to contact your leads. Some people do it through WhatsApp, through Telegram, through email, right? There's a lot of different ways to nurture those leads over time. This is why we don't want to be reliant on any platform that we don't control 100%, right? But you also want to be able to use platforms like LinkedIn and social media platforms, which are literally giving you access to your ideal clients for free. And if that is not converting, you need to look at your positioning, you need to look at your messaging, you need to look at your approach. Now, I'm all about premium clients. So, one thing I absolutely hate, do not abide, do not endorse on LinkedIn is a lot of this automated cold outreach that is happening that's very spammy and very sleazy, right? I'm talking about non-spammy, non-sleazy marketing, but the spam, the sleaze, it is out there. And trust me, I get it every single day and I block those people. If you send me a copy and paste message, you have no idea who I am, you have no idea who my business is, and I can see it's just like a hi, insert name, like hi, insert business. Do you want help with XY? Like, no.
Yeah,
So the approach that I work with on my clients inside of Premium Clients Unlocked and my book Out Your Business Marketing Bootcamp is about how do we do good cold outreach to ideal clients that actually converts them into leads. And right now on the internet, there is an abundance of spam, right? There's an abundance of bots, there's an abundance of AI. That is not the approach that I take, right? If that's your approach, you don't want to work with me. I am about leaning into the anti that, leaning into humanity, leaning into relationship building, which is a great way to freaking set yourself apart from all of this chaos over here, right? If you can really stand out and you can really show someone, oh, I actually do care about you. I actually did go to your website. I actually did read your profile, and I actually really do want to work with you. And I actually do really care about you. And I actually really want to build a genuine relationship with you and hear about what your issues are and hear about what your needs are and see if potentially we might be the right fit to work together instead of just shoving my offer down your throat. That is the kind of marketing that I'm much more about.
Love it. Thank you for that. Hopefully that helped you, Dario.
I'm sorry,
Um,
I kind of put you on blast a little bit there.
that's all good. I think it's that tough love, right? That's what we're here for, to try and really like improve on these things. And Dario, it'll be great to connect afterwards as well, see how we might be able to help you a little bit more, obviously, because we do have a lot of SMEs, entrepreneurs, that are members of Duo Circle as well. I would say, yeah, some channels would be communities as well, looking at communities, just because, again, you're more likely to find people that would, that have got a common need in that sense of like being able to connect with people and so on. What kinds of services? I guess it depends on what you're offering in that regard. But yeah, I'd love
Yeah,
to connect with one.
absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions in the chat? Don't be shy. You can add a few more. We've got a little bit more time. We'll need to spare a minute or two because I was going to do the spin the wheel to see who wins the
Oh yeah,
free membership
so
as well, which is quite cool.
exciting.
It's part of our 50th
I'm curious in the chat, I'd love
celebration.
to know how many of these sessions y'all have been to because this is number 50.
Yeah, I mean, I see a few faces. I know probably the one that's attended the most would be Evelina. Yeah, Michael's got a dozen or so. That's good. Yeah.
Yay, that's
I
awesome.
mean, the reality is some of the events are going to click with people and others won't. Like, I think we've done some sessions on tax efficiencies. I'm sure that might send some people to sleep, whereas other people will be sitting there like, yeah, this is great. I want to know exactly how to do that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think what I love about these sessions, Sasha, and obviously the wisdom you've already shared with us is that this, there's nuggets of wisdom anyone can take and apply, even if you're just a solopreneur, as we said. Okay, we have another question from Sarab as well. So it says, if you're starting afresh, how does one put a price/base price for their work, like a billing rate, if starting totally new, but with a past experience of corporates? I guess with a view of what you said of appealing to that premium customer, so not just settling for any price.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. I'm sure you guys probably have resources about this. I have resources about this in my
Yeah,
program. Well, there's a lot of resources on the internet about how to set your rate. There's an art and a science to it. I'll just hit a couple of key points because we don't have time to go into it super deeply. But this is a big thing I work with my clients on is figuring out exactly how to package and price their offer for a premium client, right? Um, it's important in your competitor scan that you do. I have this in my Zero to Launch program. You want to look at what your competitors are offering. You want to look at the market rate. It's good to look at kind of like job postings, for example. There's a lot of public data out there about what rates are being offered for the services that you're advertising. So you want a sense of that. If you had a full-time job, there's also like calculators online where you can kind of calculate the sort of freelance rate from that. I also, in my program, I have resources for really looking at a lot of times people, freelancers in particular, will undervalue themselves because they're not fully thinking about all the things that go into their rate. Like, for example, your years of experience. You don't work for a company anymore. So in the US, this is a big problem. You got to pay for your health insurance, right? You have to think about
yeah,
all your costs and expenses, but also all of your experience. It's not just the hour that it takes you to write the website copy, right? It's about the 10 years of experience that you had learning how to write that website copy in that 1 hour, right? So you want to have a good understanding of the market, and then you want a price that you feel really good about. And you feel like if you get paid that price to do this work, you're going to feel really good about it. You're going to be able to do really good work. Because sometimes what happens, especially when you're starting out, is you're desperate for work. And so you're willing to take whatever and you're going to take lower rates. And then you're going to be resentful and you're going to be like, why am I not getting paid more? Well, it's because you accepted the low rate. I also, the great news as your own boss, and this is something I work with a lot on with my clients on, everything is negotiable. So, for example, a lot of times we don't think we have the power to negotiate, but we really do. This is something I work with my clients on, even in terms of payment terms and your contract. There's so many things that you can do to advocate for yourself and get better circumstances for yourself, to get yourself paid faster, to make sure a client doesn't default on a payment, which unfortunately does happen. Ways to protect yourself that you really should make sure you're building in from the very beginning. But just to give you guys an example, right? This was a client who found me through LinkedIn, actually, and they asked me to do a deliverable for them. I did a project with them, and they were kind of a pain. And then they reached out and they wanted me to do the exact same deliverable, and they kept stalling, they kept delaying, and then they were like, "Okay, we need it right now. We need it tomorrow." Not exactly tomorrow, but like you get the idea. And I was like, sure, no problem. If you would like that deliverable on that date, the price will be this. And it was 3 times the price they had paid me for the exact same deliverable like a month earlier. And they were like, wait, I don't understand. Like you just did this a month ago for this a third the price. Like, what are you talking about? And I was like, yeah, I understand. If you would like this deliverable on this date, this is the rate, right? It was their delay in getting to me. They were a pain to work with. And I was like,
Mhm.
if I'm going to do this work this quickly, this is what you're going to pay me. And guess what? They paid me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, also I was willing to walk away, right? I was like, this is the amount it would take for me to to happily do this work on this timeline working with these people, right? But you forget that you have control over those things. Um, nice. So, yeah, and Yas has just shared a session with Grace about pricing. So hopefully that helps as well.
Yeah, and I know Grace had also shouted out. Um, I think you guys had caught up before as well, but hopefully that session also helps Sorab and anybody else on the chat as well. That was a session that we did a few months back now, but I found that it really stood out to me because it was about her sort of point of view was moving away from what she called like survival pricing to owning your value. So like you just mentioned about protecting your value, being
Yep.
confident in it, not just immediately launching into discounts and things like that, because it's a slippery slope and it's hard to come back from.
Yeah, and another thing I'll say is that you don't need to, a lot of freelancers, especially those starting out, feel like they have to work their way higher price. Something I work with my clients on is like, okay, let's set the high price now. Okay, you don't have to work your way up to it. Um, I feel like I was gonna say one more thing. I'm not sure what it was.
That point that you just mentioned, maybe as you're thinking about it, just reminds me of this topic that comes around in sales about anchoring as well. Like
Mm-hmm.
psychologically, humans will anchor
Yeah,
themselves to a certain point. So if you start off
yeah.
with a lower rate, then they're always going to compare it to that lower rate. But if you start with a higher one, then you can always come down if need be, but they'll use the bigger rate as that anchor point. So
Mhm, totally. I was also gonna say, I talked in the beginning a bit about business model and time off and rest, right? If you have a low price, you're not going to be getting much rest and much time off, right? You want a price where you're not having to work 24/7 like I was when I first started my business.
yeah, yeah, it's got to be sustainable. I think that's one of the feedbacks we get from freelance members in Duo Circle is that they might start with great intentions and a passion and a
Mhm.
desire for that flexibility, but then maybe they get a year in and they find that they're actually working doubly hard compared to what they were doing in, say, a corporate role. And then they start to think, okay, well, actually, maybe it's easier to just go back into the corporate role. And it's unfortunate when you hear that because you hope that this opportunity is a way to give you that freedom that you're looking for, and it's not always the case.
'Cause now as a freelancer, you have to do so many more things than you had to do when you were an employee, right? You've got to do business development, you've got to do accounting, you've got to do prospecting, you've got to do sales, you've got to do marketing. All of that takes time. So you need a rate that is going to pay for your life without having to do all of that other work for free as well. I feel like there was another thing I was going to say too. I just so many things I want to share with you guys. Mhm.
Well, we'll have to do a part two then, I think, for sure, at some point.
Well, it was so fun. Thanks so much for
Any
having me.
any last questions, anybody? Just get while you got your chance, drop them in the chat. I'm gonna just fire up my screen and we'll spin this very colorful wheel. from
Woo!
this random site. So yeah, it's not our website,
Okay.
but we've got the
And
names in
just
there.
like
So
I've used
it's
the
most
exact same wheel. I'm excited to see which one it is.
okay. Here we go. Right. All right. So we've got our wheel of our names. So I'm going to spin it. I've tested this out. So one spin and that will be that. So whichever it lands on, you'll be the lucky winner. Let's see. Here we go. Du, 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 du. Ooh. Ooh. There we go. Alexi Chu, you are our winner. I'll pop you a note after this to get in touch about getting your membership. So yeah, and we're really happy that we've hit that 50th milestone. As we said, here's to the next 50 and even more fantastic sessions. Great to have a very interactive audience today as well. Lots of sharing. If we can continue to help you in some way as well, please do let us know. I think we try and to exist a little bit of what you just mentioned, actually, Tasha. I guess do a circle to be there, almost like we appreciate that you're a business of one. If we can help save you a bit more time and money so you can focus on building your business better, then we'll consider that mission complete in that sense. So yeah, hopefully a good learning session from everybody. Feel free to, yeah, please do get in touch with Tasha about using her amazing services. I think everyone could really benefit from that, and obviously start to generate some serious income as well from premium clients. So please do get in touch with her on that.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It was great to chat with you all today and keep me posted.
Thanks everyone, and thanks. Congrats, Alexia. I'll pop you a note just after this about your membership. Great. Thanks everyone. Take care. Have a good rest of the day.